Welcome back, everyone. It's so good to be here with you this evening. Now, when it comes to healing from narcissistic abuse or any type of traumatizing toxic relationship, it takes a lot more to heal than just letting go and moving on with your life, but you already know this. As a matter of fact, it takes the ability to understand different stages of grief. Fortunately, I've discovered 5 stages of grief. Now, these 5 stages are typically assigned to those who are dealing with the loss of a loved one through death or dying. These stages include denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and finally, acceptance. But as we're going to talk about this, it makes more sense to apply these stages of grief to healing from narcissistic abuse than anything else. Let's talk. My name is Kevin, and this is The Royal We. I'm here to let you know that I am here to support you. Down in the description box right below this video, you'll find access for one-on-one appointments with me. I do take telephone calls and video calls through Zoom, FaceTime, and WhatsApp. So you do not have to look for red flags and green flags alone. If you feel like you're dealing with red flags, green flags, you're confused with all of this, schedule some time with me. Let's talk about it. Also, down below in the description box, you'll find access for the Royal We private membership where you can get daily live support from me with a growing community of people from all over the world. You can download the membership app down below in the description box. And by the way, if you're having a hard time finding the description box, it's right under this video. It'll say more, have a few dots. Click on those dots. It will expand the description box. YouTube has hidden the description box with all kinds of ads. So that's how you find it. The Royal We also does have merchandise available for you where you can pick up a t-shirt, a hat, a hoodie, a coffee mug, show your support for the Royal We and for this journey that we are on together. If you take a picture of your Royal We merchandise, put on your Instagram, tag me at Join the Royal We, I will give you a free 1-hour appointment, and I look forward to speaking with you. Now, let's move on to the 5 stages of grief that you must overcome and experience and walk through in order to heal from narcissistic abuse. 5 stages of grief are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Now, although these 5 stages of grief were written for people who are processing the death or the dying of a loved one, I believe these 5 stages of grief can be applied more accurately to those of you who have dealt with a toxic relationship, the traumatizing, if you will, of narcissistic abuse. Now, why would I say that? The reason is because when somebody is dying or somebody is going through the process of death, typically, it's either one of 2 ways. They're either of old age and they're sick and they've lived a full life, in which case you can anticipate that their life is just about to run out. Yes, it's going to hurt. Yes, you're going to miss them. But yes, you're also going to understand that that's life, that they've lived a full life, that they've been sick. You've been prepared mentally and emotionally for their passing. And so even if you do go through denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and then finally acceptance, it's going to be a short-lived experience of each one of these because your body already, your mind already is prepared for what's to come. However, I will say this, if it is a sudden and tragic loss, not because of old age, but because of an accident or something else that happens suddenly and robs somebody of their life too early, then I absolutely can see denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. As a matter of fact, I've experienced this. My mother died at the young age of 52, and she died of alcohol. So I can say for certain that these 5 stages of grief can apply during the sudden and tragic loss of someone unexpectedly. All right? But I want to talk about how we apply this to toxic relationships, because in that experience, I can still say with certainty that the most difficult experience of these 5 stages of grief is going to happen in dealing with narcissistic abuse or a traumatizing relationship. And here's why I say this. Because with death, even if it's sudden, even if it's unexpected, there's still this element of they didn't choose to die. You didn't choose for them to die. It happened because life can be short, life can be temporary, life is fragile, and we have this inherent understanding. And so even if you experience these things, you're going to be able to let it go sooner. But when it comes to dealing with a toxic relationship, a traumatizing relationship where you've invested your love, Well, now you're dealing with the abuse of somebody who's choosing that abuse towards you. They're choosing to be abusive. Where death is nobody's choice, abuse is somebody's choice, which makes these things more difficult, which makes these 5 stages of grief more difficult to come out of, because you never quite get to the place of, well, it just happens. It's a part of life. We are not designed to be able to process abuse as, well, it just happens. It's a part of life. We're supposed to be abused by people who say they love us. No. And so what happens is we get stuck in these stages a lot longer. I believe these 5 stages of grief are the perfect rundown and breakdown of what you will go through in order to heal from narcissistic abuse or any traumatic toxic relationship, beginning with denial. Let's talk about denial. Denial is the initial stage which involves refusing to believe or accept the reality of the loss. Or in the case of dealing with the narcissist, it's a refusing to believe or accept the reality of the abuse. Okay? Often characterized by disbelief or feeling that the situation is a mistake. This often takes place, denial takes place on the onset of abuse in a toxic relationship, does it not? The first time that they put their hands on you, the first time they give you that narcissistic stare, the first time they demean you, devalue you, yell at you, cuss at you, scream at you over nothing. It's that moment where it feels like something jumps inside of you and you freeze or you fawn because you're in shock. After all, this is a person who called themselves family. This is a person who you gave your body to. This is a person who you trusted. There's a problem, right? Trusted. This is a person who you loved. This is a person who you invested in. All right? I'm going to bring it up there so we can see it. When you invest in this and you're shocked by that initial stage of abuse, you're going to go into denial because it's not going to make sense. You're going to start to justify, okay, maybe this was a mistake. Maybe they didn't mean that. Maybe they had a bad day. Or maybe something's wrong. This is denial. You're in denial. And by the way, narcissistic people will keep you in denial. Typically, how do they do that? Well, they come back and say, oh, well, it was your fault, or you made me angry, right? And that's a part of denial. It feeds your denial. Your denial. You're probably thinking in a toxic relationship, maybe I did something wrong. That's a part of denial. You know you didn't do anything to deserve that. Them putting their hands on you, them yelling, them screaming, okay? So they're feeding your denial. The problem with this stage of denial when you're dealing with the trauma of a toxic relationship is you could be stuck in denial for years. It's one thing to be in denial when somebody passes away, suddenly even. You can be in denial of that for moments, for weeks, for months. But when it comes to a narcissistic person in your life who is abusive towards you, you can stay in denial for years. Many of you have been in a toxic marriage with an abusive person who has neglected you physically, mentally, emotionally, starved you of sex, starved you of intimacy, has been cheating on you, has been wronging you on so many levels, and yet you're in the relationship. Why? In denial. And they justify your denial. They feed your denial by making it out to be your fault, or by telling you that, oh, you're misunderstanding them, or you can't take a joke. That's why you think they're mean, right? When really they're just being joking, or you're too sensitive, or whatever the case may be. They justify their abusive treatment towards you, which locks you into denial. And I have seen in my coaching experience that people can be stuck in denial for years, well past the denial that somebody stays in when they lose a loved one through death. This is what makes a toxic relationship worse. Moving on from denial, we also have anger. Anger. It says this about anger. So you go from denial, but then after you realize that you're not in denial, you're dealing with a narcissistic person, you're dealing with an abuser. Once you realize that, you slip into anger. Now, this anger can also last a long time. It says this, as the reality of the abuse sets in. It actually says the loss, right? But we're talking about narcissistic abuse. So as the reality of the abuse sinks in, which means you're no longer in denial, you're coming out of the denial. You're realizing that they're abusive not because of you. And no, they're not just joking. And no, you're not too sensitive. There's something wrong with them. They are mentally disturbed. Their psychopathy is finally showing through. Their narcissistic abuse is becoming so dangerous. And finally, you get to this place where you see the danger and you see the lie that you've been with, believing that you're with somebody who loves you when they really don't. So this is where you're going to start to get angry. Naturally so. A lot of people in this anger have reactive abuse. This is where it comes from. But this is what it says. It says, as the reality of the loss sinks in, or the abuse sinks in, anger may emerge, directed at oneself, at others, or even at a higher power, as individuals grapple with the unfairness of the situation. Yes, once you slip out of denial and you realize that you've been dealing with a narcissistic family member or a husband or a wife or a boyfriend or a girlfriend, you're going to be angry at everybody, including yourself. I remember I was angry at the narcissistic in-laws that I was dealing with, the half-brothers and sisters of the mothers of my kids when I was married. I was angry that they thought they can get away with saying the demeaning, nasty things. I was angry with them for not being able to respect a person's marriage. I was filled with anger. Who do they think they are? But I was also angry with myself. Why I kept showing up. Why I kept giving them chance after chance. But then I also found out and I discovered that I was angry with God. You see, at that time, I was going to church. I was involved on the worship teams. And a lot of the misinformation I was being given from churchianity was to keep loving them. That I was somehow supposed to sacrifice myself, and this is what being a Christian is. Turn the other cheek, love your enemies, pray for those who persecute you, this and that, which translated into me staying in that toxic relationship. So I was even angry at God. As a matter of fact, I remember when I stopped going to church. At that time, I quit the worship team. I shook my fist at God and I said, I'm done with this. I'm done with you. I did not sign up. I did not start going to church so that I could be a punching bag for people. I don't believe and buy into this whole thing that I have to sacrifice and roll over for evil people anymore. Right? Now, as the story goes, just so that you know, I am a strong believer. As a matter of fact, God met me there and basically said, congratulations. I'm glad you're angry. I never wanted you to be involved with those people. And no, you don't have to be a punching bag for anybody. And yes, church has got it all backwards. And you're going to be a voice that's going to help people understand this. So very thankful for that now. But that anger can last a long time. Definitely in your healing journey. Once you come out of denial, you're going to find yourself angry. And this anger can be towards yourself. It could be at the world because you feel the world lied to you, education lied to you, your parents lied to you. You're going to wrestle with anger for a long time. This is part of what's transforming you because you realize that everything you've experienced, everything you heard, everything you thought was true is a lie. And it's very angering. By the way, I want you to stay until the end of this video because I do have a challenge for you. I want to plan a way with you that we can get over our anger for those of you who are still angry, right? There's something I want to share with you, and I'm going to take this journey with you, all right? Now, depending on where your anger is, I don't have a lot of anger at this point, but there's still some things there that I want completely gone. So stay with me towards the end of this video because I'm going to share a challenge with you that I'm going to do, and I want you to do it with me, all right? The next stage after the anger is the bargaining. Bargaining. What does this even mean, right? Denial, anger, bargaining. I'm not exactly sure what bargaining looks like when there's the sudden loss of somebody, death and dying. I don't know what's there to bargain. Well, here's what it says. It says, in this stage, individuals may try to negotiate or make deals with a higher power or fate, hoping to reverse the loss or postpone the inevitable. Now, I can't see that happening after somebody dies. There's no way to reverse that, but I can see how bargaining could be an issue if somebody is terminally ill or is about to die. Absolutely. I can see how people would begin to bargain. Let it not be so. God, take this horrible cancer away. Take this illness away. I'll do anything. Okay? So yes, I can see it if you are faced with a loved one who is sick and is about to die. In a toxic relationship or coming out of a toxic relationship or coming out of narcissistic abuse, I see bargaining as a way to wish you never had to experience that. That can be a form of bargaining. In fact, I did experience that. Because of the anger that I was dealing with in my own healing journey, I had plenty of times. In fact, one in particular I'll share with you where I walked outside, I was upset, I was crying out to God, and I actually said this. I said, I wish I could go back in time and undo that whole experience. I wish I never met those people because I am so tired of the ruminating thoughts. I'm so tired of the anger towards myself, anger towards them, even my anger towards God. I wish I never experienced that. And I begged in my moment of prayer, please let me go back in time. I wished I had a DeLorean like on Back to the Future. Let me go back on time. Let me grab myself and shake myself and say, have nothing to do with those people. In fact, don't even get into that marriage. Don't stay out. Don't. I wished I could have. But here's the response I got in my moment of bargaining. That's where, once again, God met me in my own personal journey and said, okay, fine, Kevin, whatever. If you want to go back in time and undo that, we can do that. But we take the royal we with it, and we take your voice that you have now with it. You see, everything that you're doing now goes as a part of that bargain, if that's what you want. And that's when I stood back and said, no, I don't want that. I'll live with the pain. I'll take the thorn in the flesh. I will have the frustration. I'll endure that pain and that hurt that I have so that I can continue to be a voice here with you. Because I see the value in that. I don't see the value in the relationship, but I see the value in spending time with you right now. All right? So bargaining is a part of it. You're going to have a bargaining stage of wishing you could go back, take away everything that you gave to that person, go back in time as though nothing ever existed, as though the relationship wasn't real. There's absolutely a bargaining stage. Now, it says from the bargaining stage, you go into a depression. So we have denial, anger, then bargaining. Then the fourth stage is depression. Here's what it says about depression. It says, as the reality of the loss becomes more apparent. So as the reality of the abuse that you experience becomes more apparent, individuals may experience profound sadness, despair, and a sense of hopelessness, often accompanied by withdrawal and a lack of motivation. Yes, absolutely. This, in a toxic relationship setting, as you're leaving it or healing it, this comes in the form, this depression and this despair comes in the form of a lot of isolation. This is where we get into the sadness, if you will, of the world, of people, of humanity, the despair, the hopelessness. Many people I've coached don't want to date again. You don't want to meet new people. You may find yourself isolated, wanting to stay away from large crowds. How many of you used to at one time feel energized by going out and mingling with people, going out and having fun, dating people, flirting with people, whatever the case may be? But having this experience, you're more withdrawn and you don't really care about meeting people. You don't really want to go out and do those things anymore. As a matter of fact, you find yourself more comfortable standing at a distance from people. You value your alone time more than anything else. And I wouldn't necessarily call all of this depression, but I would say depression starts this. Depression can start this. It depends. It depends on why you're staying away from people. Many of you, myself included, truly are people persons. We love people. We want to spend time with people, but we have to get over this fear. We have to get over that hesitation. We have to get over that thing of, but I don't like what I've experienced. I know that there's abusive personalities woven within all of this everywhere I go. So we can almost become too cautious. So I can say that this absolutely is a part of depression, all right, that we must learn to get out of. And I believe getting out of that gets us into acceptance. Acceptance is, in fact, the final stage here. It says this final stage involves acknowledging the reality of the loss or the reality of the abuse, okay? And finding a way to move forward. Though it's important to note that acceptance doesn't necessarily mean feeling okay with the abuse. That's not what acceptance is. Or okay with the loss, but rather finding a way to live with it. Yes. Of all the coaching I've ever done, and one of the things I hit on in the Roe We Private membership all the time is that radical acceptance of the abuse that you've experienced is not about being okay with abuse. It's never about that. If you're looking to be on the other side of healing from narcissistic abuse, somehow being okay with what happened, you never will. It's learning how to accept what happened and finding a way to live with the adjustments that are now made in your life. Some of the adjustments including no longer trusting people so quickly. That's an adjustment that you've made on your life, okay? No longer associating with certain types of people who you once associated with. This is an adjustment in your life. This is a part of acceptance. You're accepting who you are. You're accepting your boundaries. You're accepting what you're okay with and what you're not okay with. And with this radical acceptance comes your ability to make sharper decisions. All right? That's what radical acceptance is all about. And by the way, it doesn't mean the pain's going to go away necessarily, or even all of your anger. Those of you who are waiting for the pain to stop, for your anger to go away, some of it might always be there. And what I challenge you to understand is that this anger and some of this hurt that you have is actually trying to be your protector. It's this hurt and this anger that's going to navigate you away from possible toxic situations in the future. You're going to see it right away because it's going to trigger that hurt within you. It's going to trigger that anger within you. And immediately you're going to say, no, we're not going to be good, right? I don't want to be friends. Okay. Thanks, but no thanks. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's being in tune with who you are and how you need to live your life. What's going to bring you peace? What relationships are going to be beneficial for you and be fruitful in your life versus what relationships are going to be stumbling blocks. And this world is full of narcissistic people who will gladly be a stumbling block in your life. Acceptance is being able to take the pain and the anger, embrace it. Don't try to get rid of it. Embrace it. Embrace it as a part of you now navigating the world. Now then, I had a challenge for you that I mentioned before, and it has to deal with the anger. All right? The challenge is this. The Bible says to love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. How many of you know that verse? Now, what's interesting about this is that the last thing we want to do is love narcissistic people who have hurt us and pray for them. The reason is because we believe that loving them or praying for them is in fact for them. It's not. I've discovered something recently. That loving them, and by the way, I don't mean by loving them, I don't mean contact them and hang out with them or any of that. Let's just put the love part aside. You don't need to even focus on that. Let's just focus on the prayer. That's all I want to challenge you with, all right? Praying for them is not for them. Praying for them is for you. I'm going to say this again. Praying for toxic narcissistic people, whether it's family or ex who has hurt you, who has crushed you, praying for them is not for you. Not for them. It's not for them. It is for you. Doggone it. I said that wrong. I got ahead of myself. This is why it's important to understand this. Because I believe that praying for them on a regular basis is going to soften your heart and release the anger. And that's what we want to focus on. It's not the anger that's going to keep us away from them. We're not releasing that. We're releasing any anger that has you focused on them. So here's my challenge for you. For the next 30 days, I want to join you all, those of you who will join me. We could do this through Instagram, whatever. We're going to pray for the narcissistic people who have hurt you for 30 days. We're going to take 5 minutes or less, couple minutes, 1 minute, to pray for them. Even if you don't have words to pray for them, that's going to be part of the prayer, right? Even if the first day of prayer is, I have no words, I don't even know what to say about those people, Lord, but I want to start praying for them. Make that the end of the prayer. And then the next day, something else. I know that those people hurt me. I know they did it on purpose, but I'm ready to release it, Lord. I want to pray. So it doesn't matter what the words are yet. It doesn't have to be fancy. You don't have to articulate it, oh, Lord God, and make yourself look like you're high and mighty praying for mean, wicked people. You don't have to do that. It just has to be a genuine, honest prayer, because at the end of 30 days, the challenge is to see how you feel and whether or not that anger is gone. Any of the anger that has you focused on them and the ruminating thoughts that has you focused on them. The challenge is to see. We're putting God to the test. I know it says, thou shalt not test the Lord thy God, but I believe this is a good test, because what we're doing is we're testing God's word. We're testing through hope, belief, and faith that if we take 30 days and we pray, that it will change our ruminating thoughts. It will change whatever anger we're hanging on to towards those people. It will release that. So join me if you think this is a good idea. If not, let me know down in the comment sections down below. Either way, if you're brand new to the Royal We, be sure to hit the subscribe button, like this video, share it with somebody who needs to watch it, and I'll be back with more videos for you right here on the Royal We. Check out one of these videos recommended by the YouTube algorithm, and down in the description box is where you can schedule one-on-one time with me. I'll be back. Bye, everyone.